Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praises are due to Allah, the creator, the cherisher, and the sustainer of this universe. And may his peace and blessings be upon his noble Prophet Muhammad and his companions and his descendants and his followers. Dear respected brothers and sisters, I watched with a lot of sorrow a video that was posted on the internet recently for Sheikh Anwar Alawlaki, someone that I loved so much for the sake of Allah, and someone that I looked at as one of my role models. Until very recently, I was taking him as a role model. I wanted to be like him in knowledge, in behavior, and conduct, and charisma. But actually, the truth is dearer to my heart than Sheikh Anwar Alawlaki. So I have to express myself and say why I was shocked by his video. I was shocked with mainly 2 points in his video. Once, when the interviewer asked him about how he looks at hijacking aeroplanes and bombing them with so-called civilians. That's what the interviewer said. They say they are described in the media as civilians.
تؤيد مثل هذه العمليات مع أن المستهدفين فيها كما يقال في الإعلام مدنيين لا ذنب لهم إلى آخر ما يقال.
نعم. بالنسبة لقضية المدنيين، هذا المصطلح كثر استخدامه الآن، ولكن نحن نفضل استخدام المصطلحات التي تداولها فقهاؤنا، فهم يقولون مقاتلين وغير مقاتلين. بالنسبة للمقاتل فهو من حمل السلاح ولو كانت امرأة، وغير المقاتل هو الذي لا مشاركة له في الحرب. بالنسبة للشعب الأمريكي في جملته هو مشارك، لأنه هو الذي انتخب هذه الإدارة، وأيضا هو الذي يمون هذه الحرب. وفي في هذه الانتخابات الأخيرة والتي سبقتها كانت هناك خيارات أخرى عند الشعب الأمريكي أن ينتخبوا أشخاص لا يريدون الحرب، ومع ذلك لم يحصلوا إلا على الفتات من الأصوات. ثم نحن قبل أن نتحدث عن أي شيء لابد أن ننظر المسألة من منظار شرعي، وهذا الذي يحسم المسألة هل يجوز أو لا يجوز. لو كان باستطاعة الأخ المجاهد البطل عمر الفاروق أن يستهدف عدة مئات من العسكريين فهذا أمر رائع، لكن نحن نتحدث عن واقع معركة. الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لو استطاع أن يقاتل في النهار فقط لفعل، ولكن كان هناك أحيانا حالات يرسل فيها السرايا في الليل، وهذه السرايا التي يرسلها صلى الله عليه وسلم في الليل بسبب الظلمة كانت تقتل من النساء والأطفال. فعاد الصحابة رضي الله عنهم إلى الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم واستفسروا عن هذه المسألة، فقال لهم صلى الله عليه وسلم هم منهم، أي أن حكم هؤلاء هو حكم الآباء، فالرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أجاز هذا العمل.
Actually, the Sheikh was right when he said, let's use the Sharia terminology, not use the word civilian. Let's use combatants and non-combatants. And I like that, actually. And then the Sheikh explained, a combatant is everyone who carries a weapon, even if a woman. And then he said that the whole American people is participating because they are the ones who elected this government and because they are the financiers of this war. And in these elections and the previous ones, they had the chance to vote for others who do not want the war, but they got few votes. And the disaster is that he said, let us look at it from a Sharia point of view. And by the way, that's a confession that what he was saying before is not really matching with the Sharia. But now what's coming is from the Sharia point of view. Now he will do what is called qiyas, or analogy. He said, I will explain that. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he was asked by some of his companions about women and children getting killed in wars when they are fighting against the combatants, but they are mixed with the combatants, they get killed accidentally. So he said, they are from them. Therefore, the Prophet allowed it. That's what he said. Therefore, the Prophet allowed it, giving the impression to the audience that the Prophet allowed hijacking planes and killing the civilians in them. The Sheikh was talking about a hadith that exists in Al-Bukhari. And he responded to the questions about women and children who get hurt when the enemy is raided by nighttime by saying they are from them. Surprisingly, this hadith is explained in the book, in the background of the Sheikh in the video, which is Fath al-Bari في شرح صحيح البخاري for Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. It's called Fath al-Bari, which is actually the explanation of al-Bukhari. If the Sheikh can just pick the book from behind his back, he will see Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani explaining this hadith this way. Ibn Hajar is saying, it does not mean that women and children can be targeted, but rather if killed in combat against combatants for being around them, there is no sin on the Muslim soldiers then. And he said, and the Zuhri. Zuhri is one of the narrators of the hadith. The one who's narrating the hadith actually from the companions of Prophet Muhammad. So he's a very important person. Ibn Hajar says, and Az-Zuhri never narrated this hadith except if he follows it with the hadith that says, I was told by Ka'b ibn Malik, who was told by his uncle that when the Prophet, peace be upon him, sent his soldiers to fight Ibn Abi al-Haqiq, he prohibited killing the women and the children under any condition, even if the enemy took them as human shields. Sufyan narrated that, Az-Zuhri also narrated that the Prophet prohibited completely killing the women and the children, and what proves that that was in Hunayn, which is the last battle against the pagans in the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him, is that he sent his messenger and he told him, tell Khalid ibn al-Walid, tell Khalid not to kill kids or asifs. Asif is, they are actually the farmers, the workers, the servants, and the lay people, and the civilians in today's words. So Az-Zuhri never narrated this hadith, except after he narrates also other hadith with them to explain that Prophet Muhammad did not mean to target the non-combatants and to target women and children like Sheikh Anwar wanted to give the impression to his audience. Ibn Hajar says, Ibn Battal says, the consensus of Muslim scholars is that it is totally prohibited to target women and children. Therefore, what Sheikh Anwar Alawlaki did is that he used a qiyas fasid, or an invalid analogy. As the Prophet, peace be upon him, meant that if there is no escape from causing casualties among civilians during fighting the combatants of the enemies, then there is no sin in that, but he never allowed targeting non-combatants while hijacking planes and bombing them. So the Prophet did not allow targeting the non-combatants. He said, if non-combatants are killed in combat because they are mixed and they are around with their own combatants, this is their own mistake. It's not our mistake. And that's what the Prophet, peace be upon him, said. So actually, this that was he did is called qiyas fasid. A qiyas fasid, or an invalid analogy, is because the illah, or the rationale behind killing them, is that they cannot be avoided. While hijacking planes and bombing them actually is targeting them from the beginning. So this is, the rationale is not the same. The illah is not the same. Here, the far' has no relationship with the asl. The incident itself that happened at the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is completely different from the incidents that the Sheikh Anwar is trying to find an excuse for. So this is what we say, it's a qiyas fasid, and I wonder how come Sheikh Anwar is actually using or giving the chance to the enemies of Islam to attack Islam and to attack the Prophet by giving them the ammunition this way. I believe that Sheikh Anwar never meant that, and he is the last one on earth to do that intentionally actually. But since I proved to him now that his qiyas was a qiyas fasid, I believe that Sheikh Anwar is brave enough to retract this fatwa and to say the truth and to regret it and say, that was wrong from me, don't take this from me. The second evidence of Sheikh Anwar was that the American civilians are the voters who voted for the government that kills Muslims. Where is this in fiqh, Sheikh Anwar? And if it's true, how can you know that every single passenger on the plane is American? A plane leaving from Amsterdam to the United States is maybe having at least 50% of its passengers Dutch. Are the Dutch people those who voted for the American government? And among the Americans there are children who do not have the right to vote even. And among the people who are going to the US, there are people who did not vote at all. And among them there are also people who work in the United States and they are not carrying American passports, so they don't have the right to vote. And even those who voted for this government that fights Muslims, ya Sheikh Anwar, many of them, and you are the best one to know that because you were born in America and you lived in the United States. Most of the Americans, when they vote, they don't really vote because they like the foreign policy, but maybe because they like the tax policy or the education policy or the healthcare policy. So even those who voted for this government, but not because they will fight the Muslims, those who don't know anything, and you know the Americans so well, those who don't know anything about Palestine, don't know anything about Afghanistan, they don't care about Iraq, all they care about is putting the food on the table for their children, and they vote for a better education or better health policy, are those to be killed? Are you telling me that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is allowing killing those people? Besides, Ya Sheikh, you said that the bill between us and the West includes at least 1 million women and children who were killed in the Muslim world. Do you know why there is 1 million in this bill, ya Sheikh Anwar? Is because those people don't have what prohibits them, but we have our religion, and we have our Quran, and we have our culture, and we have our history, ya Sheikh Anwar. Ya Sheikh Anwar, the non-Muslims did not only kill our civilians and innocents, they also raped our women in Bosnia. Are you allowing me to rape women of non-Muslims because they raped our women in Bosnia, ya Sheikh Anwar? And I believe that any Muslim who will fall down like that by raping women or by killing civilians will be hunted on the Day of Judgment by the verses of Allah, by the Quran. He will be hunted on the Day of Judgment by the ayah in the Quran that says, let not the hatred of some people make you swerve from justice. Be just, this is closer to piety. He will be hunted by the verse, whoever kills one soul except for murder or for spreading corruption, it would be as if he killed all of humanity. Sheikh Anwar, again I'm telling you, Wallahi, I love you for the sake of Allah. And I don't care. And I know that this video may even bring me some trouble because I said that I love you. But this is the truth. I love you for the sake of Allah. But I love the truth more than I love you. And I know that you also love the truth. And I know that you are brave enough to retract your fatwa and to clear yourself from what you said. Wallahi, I am afraid that you lose yourself and that you make others go astray because of this opinion. At the end, I would like to beg you to retract this fatwa and this opinion and to be brave enough, as Anwar that I always knew, that who is brave enough to say what I said was wrong. This is Anwar Alawlaki, whom I knew and whom I loved. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.